Hey guys, hope you're doing good. It's Ryan here with DP Marketing.Services. I'm here making my cup of coffee for the day because if you don't know me, this is kind of my thing. This is what I do. Oh, crap. I forgot my kettle. One sec. Do. So yeah, every day I've got my microphone in so you can still hear me. I don't know if you can see me, but every day I come in here and make my coffee. It's kind of my routine. Helps me get going. And I'm kind of a snob when it comes to coffee. So I really am picky about how it's made and where the coffee comes from. The coffee I'm doing today is actually made right down the street. It's a place called Cirque. I love it. And they do some really weird sort of roasts. So I like that I can support local. I like that I'm getting kind of unique coffee. It's still really high quality. And yeah. So coming at you today, now that I've got my kettle ready to go, with a video that I hear sometimes guys talk about, right? Which is, do you want big ticket jobs, right? I talk to guys all the time, plumbing guys, HVAC guys, electrical guys, and they just want like, hey, I only want to focus on new system installs, or I only want to focus on hydrojetting, or only want to focus on septic, because that's where the money's at. And on one hand, I totally understand, right? Totally hear you. It makes a ton of sense too when you can focus after the big jobs, go after them because, well, they're higher margin. There's usually lower cost involved to get into it. But here's a couple things to keep in mind. Let's get out of the trade specific. So let's use a company like McDonald's. McDonald's, as you guys know, is in the fast food business, and the thing about fast food is, it's not awesome margins. It's not awesome food. They just really basically need to sell a crap ton of stuff to make stuff work. Think about the Happy Meal. The Happy Meal for most McDonald's is a loss loser. In fact, McDonald's corporate typically has to subsidize local restaurant owners because otherwise they'd have to raise the price on the Happy Meal. Because think of it, you get a burger, cheeseburger, chicken nuggets, whatever, you get fries, you get a toy, you get a small drink. And yet, McDonald's sells so many of those every year, it accounts for about 20% of their overall transactions. That's about $3.5 billion with B in revenue from selling this loss-leading item, right? Which has to be subsidized, $3.5 billion. Or another example, Apple. They make these little things. If you're an Apple user, you probably know these are AirPods, right? So I've got some in right now. If you think my mic sounds weird, it's probably why. AirPods are really cheap. They're a really inexpensive product for Apple to make. They account for, it's estimated, about $5 billion of revenue from this thing, which Apple makes, less than $100 per unit, right? So Apple makes less than $100 on this particular unit, and yet they make about $5 billion a year in revenue just from these gizmos. So here's the thing I would encourage you to think about. Yes, totally makes sense. Go after your big ticket jobs, make a point to get them. But by and large, most customers don't go, you know what, I'm going to replace my HVAC system today. Let's look for a full system change out. They don't. What do they want to do instead? They want to Band-Aid whatever the crap they got for as long as they can, right? Most homeowners, same thing. If they've got a plumbing problem, they're not going to be like, you know what I want to do? I want to repipe my entire bathroom. That sounds fun. Instead, they're like, hey, can I get this faucet tightened down or replaced or whatever, right? It's like these little ticket things that get you in the door. There's a couple of reasons why it's really tempting to want to go and specialize after those big ticket jobs, but most of the time, it makes sense to also keep in mind the whole price mix of things in your services, because without these, Apple's going to be sucking away $5 billion in revenue. Without the Happy Meal, McDonald's is going to be sucking away $4.5 billion in revenue. Without those things, even though they are very low margin or they are maybe a loss leader, you are losing the opportunity to sell other things. So for these AirPods, these work pretty instantly with an iPhone. So you can go buy these if you want one-on-one, and they're going to have a kind of mediocre experience if you try to pair this with a Samsung or whatever else. They're really designed for iPhone. So guess what? By selling this, you get a chance to sell an iPhone, which is a much more higher margin product. So, and when you talk about specializing, sure, there's some like reasons to want to specialize and be really focused because it's going to say, hey, you have industry expertise, you're going to have specialized equipment, specialized training. But in most cases, right, it makes a lot of sense for you to consider other revenue streams, even if they're smaller, because the volume of those transactions is greater than your target one. So a good example is like new system installs for HVAC. Again, most people, we know, we've got the data. Most people don't do searches for HVAC system replacement or new heating and air conditioning system. There are very few searches in most markets, very few. Instead, it's like AC repair. Then, so for you, if you want to target those system changeouts, it's not that those AC repair people are trash. This is a chance for you to use your sales chops. Have your guy come in, do a full diagnostic, say, hey, I know you said a repair. Here's how much, here's what we found. Here's our concerns with the repair. Honestly, it might make more sense for you to guys consider replacement because we're going to be out here doing the same thing and it's going to cost more than when you can sell the replacement, right? The new system swap as a solution to the repair. It's a hell of a lot easier for you to sell those things versus going after people who are intentionally wanting them from the get-go. And the same is true with plumbing, right? It's a whole lot easier for you to target people looking like plumber near me, even though you might get like garbage disposals in the mix, right? You're going to get more chances to be in front of the customer to do things like repiping or sewer or septic work. Anything in the ground, you're going to have more opportunities to be in front of that customer, have a relationship with that customer, do that service if you're in there doing the piddly stuff. If McDonald's didn't sell the Happy Meals, they're going to, not only are they going to lose that $4.5 billion of revenue, right? They're going to lose the opportunity of kids dragging their parents in to get the higher margin McDoubles or whatever they get. By you doing these lower ticket items, it is absolutely a foot in the door for bigger ticket jobs. So here's my encouragement to you. I'm really curious to know what you think because I know a lot of guys are like, I only want the big tickets, and I totally hear you. But as a business strategy, as like looking at your product mix and averaging your ticket prices across all jobs, those little $300, $400, $500 tickets add up over time to be really significant contributors to your overall business bottom line, right? They just do. Not every job's going to be a six-figure ticket. Not every job's going to be a 1,500 ticket. But what you want to do is have the best chance of getting as many of the big ticket jobs as you can, and that might mean making the most of the little opportunities in the way, right? So again, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to niche, you might want to specialize, you might want to focus on just doing a couple things, but in most cases, it's typically short-sighted to say, I want to let all those other things go and I only want to focus on this one thing. And I'm curious to hear from you because this is probably going to ruffle some feathers, I can already tell. So leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, yeah, if you have like a good, compelling argument, good, compelling reason, I'd love to hear for it. Leave a comment. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. I'm slowly getting my coffee up, so I'm going to keep working on this. But get back to your day. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.